Good everyone, right? To prevent personal potential the role of logic in evaluating any argument and the figure reliability with the evidence society.
What is logic? Logic is a branch of philosophy that studies correct reason. It helps people discriminate between valid and invalid arguments, truth and falsehood, and rational and irrational thinking. In our everyday lives, we constantly make decisions, argue about issues, and form opinions. In Nigeria today, people are exposed to political propaganda, fake news, and religious controversies, and social media misinformation. Because of these, logical reasoning has become very important. Logic also promotes critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking means carefully examining information before accepting it as true. Instead of relying on emotions or assumptions, logic teaches us to use evidence and reasoning.
Statements and arguments are important part of logic. A statement is a sentence that can either be true or false, while an argument is a group of statements that policies support a conclusion. For example, you have permissive accountability. Permissive talk about person and focus on the board. And permissive talks about some public official engaged with person. With this person and permissive, it is able to make us to compute that corruption and capital development. This shows how logic helps us to analyze and your company.
Another important aspect of logic is invalid reason and valid reason. An argument is valid when the conclusion follows logically from the premises. However, an argument is invalid when the conclusion does not follow logically. Logic helps us to identify fallacies. Fallacies are errors in reasoning that weaken argument. One common fallacy in Nigeria are fixed notion. For example, during election, some politicians try to gain support by using fear or sympathy instead of presenting realistic policy. Another fallacy is bandwagon fallacy, where people believe something simply because many other people believe this. This is common in fraudulent online investment scam, where people invest money because others are doing the same.
We also have ad hominem fallacy, where people attack a person instead of addressing the arguments. For example, saying the lecturer's opinion is wrong simply because the lecturer is poor. Social media misinformation is another major issue in Nigeria. Many people share fake news without verifying facts. Vertical thinking helps individuals question information, examine evidence, and avoid spreading false information. Therefore, logic is very important in helping Nigeria think critically and make better judgments.
Logic play an important role in many areas of Nigerian society. In politics, logic helps citizens evaluate campaign promises and government policies before voting. In education, logic improves students' reasoning, research, and academic performance. In religion, logic helps people avoid manipulation, examine teaching carefully instead of accepting every claims blindly. Logic is also useful in business and economic because it helps people make rational finance and investment decisions.
However, there are challenges to logical reasoning in Nigeria, such as illiteracy, emotional bias, superstition, and fake news. To promote logical thinking, schools should introduce critical thinking.
I will discuss the introduction to logic. We need to talk about the relevance of logic in our contemporary society. Number one, it works as a guide through the critical thinking process. It provides a structured framework that prevents our mind from wandering into emotional gears or irrational assumptions. Secondly, logic helps us to think about the outcome of questions we want to ask or what we want to say. This means logic forces us to anticipate the consequences of our words before we express them. It allows us to carefully construct our inquiries and arguments so that they lead to productive, meaningful conversation rather than misunderstanding. Another relevance is it helps individuals to reason well, activates and sharpen the process of reasoning. In this aspect, it really helps students in thinking logically. Practicing logic acts like exercise for the brain, as sharpening our natural intellectual capacity. Over time, It transforms passive thinking into an active thinking, deliberate habits of deep mental engagement. Another relevance of logic is it helps in differentiating between the good and bad arguments. It equips us with the tools to spot logical fallacy, weak premises, and manipulative rhetoric. In everyday ways, by recognizing this flaw, we can easily separate valid, evidence-based truth from deceptive, or poorly constructed claim. So logic is very important in our contemporary society.
The next relevance of logic is it helps in clear reading of newspaper affairs. Now, logic serves as a shield to help citizens objectively analyze policy decisions and industry plays. It empowers individuals to look past emotional campaign slogans and evaluate the actual substance of political agendas. Now, next one, it improves problem solving, enhances communication, and helps to be more open to different perspectives, saying things in different ways. Now, let me explain it. Logic allows us to communicate our solutions clearly and persuasively to others. Furthermore, understanding the logical framework behind someone else would make it more easier to appreciate their viewpoint, even if you do not entirely agree with it. In conclusion, logic is essential for evaluating everyday arguments and improving human reasoning in contemporary Nigerian society. It helps individuals to make rational decisions, avoid manipulation, and contribute positively to national development.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.